When you rotate clockwise 90 degrees, it's going to look like this. Number one, your anterior tricuspid valve leaflet. So if I ever ask you for the rest of your time here, where's that leaflet? Do not tell me you don't know, because it's right here for you. Number two, the medial tricuspid valve leaflet. Number three, the aortic valve right coronary cusp. By the way, a cheap trick for you. The non-coronary cusp will always be attached to the interatrial septum. You see this? This is the non-coronary cusp. This is the right coronary cusp, and this is the left coronary cusp. How do I know that? Is this not the right atrium? Yes?
Yes.
Right atrium, right ventricle, so this has to be the right coronary cusp. Left atrium, left coronary cusp. The non-coronary cusp will always be attached to the interatrial septum, and it is called a non-coronary cusp. People, go ahead and mute your microphones for me, please, everybody. The non-coronary cusp will always be the one that's attached to the interatrial septum. The reason why it's called a non-coronary cusp is because it doesn't have a coronary artery attached to it, okay? You have your right coronary artery, your left coronary artery. No coronary artery is attached to this one. Right pulmonary artery, left pulmonary artery, main pulmonary artery. So, aortic valve, left coronary cusp is number 4. I've already given you guys the cheat to that. By the way, this LAA stands for left atrial appendage. Most of the time, it's more likely when a person has a clot, they'll have a clot in that left atrial appendage. So you always want to kind of look for that. 5, aortic valve non-coronary cusp. Again, the cheap trick, the non-coronary cusp is always attached to the interatrial septum. These are, I'm actually going to ask you these on a test, I'm sure of it. So you need to know them. This right here is the right posterior pulmonic valve cusp. You need to know that. Right posterior pulmonic valve cusp. Number 7, you have that anterior pulmonic valve cusp. And that's all of them. So, when you measure that RVOT, remember to get that QPQS, you have to measure the RVOT diameter, right? You measure that in short axis. You measure the proximal and the distal. By the way, rarely will you find somebody measuring the distal. Usually it's the proximal and they keep it pushing. You also need to know this is your anterior leaflet. This is sometimes called a septal leaflet, but sometimes they call it also a medial leaflet. So the septal leaflet and the medial leaflet are the same thing. So this is the base. We just talked about everything you would see. And these are the numbers. By the way, millimeters, just move the decimal point one place over to the left to get centimeters. So 2.1 to 3.5 is normal for right here. 1.7 to 2.7 is normal, but this 3.51 is the most. I just know if it's less than that, it's normal. I don't memorize this 2.1. Anything less than a 3.5 is fine. And then I memorize the 1.7, but I never really, because if this is big, chances are this one's going to be big too. So I take the medial one, the proximal and distal. It's around right here, midway through the RVOT. Now, people say that if a person has a normal aortic valve, it looks like an upside down Mercedes-Benz. I have never thought of a Mercedes-Benz ever when I've seen it. I get it, but it's never looked like that to me. Okay, so you need to know that the interatrial septum, this right here, it'll bow in either direction. If the pressure is higher on the right side, it'll bow to the left, like so. If the pressure is higher on the left side, it'll bow to the right, like so. Now, this left atrial appendage, not only is it most likely where we're going to get a blood clot or any type of like a thrombus, it also acts as like a decompression chamber, which is awesome because if the pressure starts to rise here because of severe MR or mitral regurgitation, this kind of accepts some of that blood to hold it in there to reduce pressure in here. So you need to know that the left atrial appendage is a remnant of the embryonic left atrium, and it's a long tubular hook-shaped appendage. That's it right here. This is what it looks like on the diagram, and it also acts as a decompression chamber like I already said. I think I mentioned already that it is more likely that if we have a thrombus, that's where we will get it. So you guys are going to help me out here. Janae?
Yes.
I need your help real quick.
Okay.
Is this tricuspid regurgitation?
Yes.
If you,
Oh.
what about this one?
Okay, the first one, no. I think that's the aortic. Those are the aortic cusp. So the second one, yes.
Okay. So what would this be?
Tricuspid insufficiency.
Right here.
Aortic insufficiency.
Yes. And right here?
Where?
Right here.
I lost your cursor. Oh, that's the right atrium.
So what's going on there, though?
Regurgitation.
Of what?
Tricuspid insufficiency or tricuspid regurgitation.
Yes. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Jessica?
Yes, sir.
If you turned on the continuous wave and you saw this, what would you think is happening?
There would be some regurgitation.
Of which
or
valve most
backflow.
likely?
I'm going to say the aortic.
No. It's the pulmonic. Remember I talked about earlier, the pulmonic valve was above the baseline. So what would this one be?
Okay, so that one would be the aortic.
No, this is tricuspid. No.
Oh my God, I'm sorry.
No worries. I mean, it gets you. It's okay. They'll come where you'll just see them and know.
I'm telling you, today is not my day, okay?
When I was in class, I was like, it was like Greek to me, honestly. I was like, oh God, am I ever going to learn all this stuff? But you will. It's not that bad. Now, let's move along.
Mr. May,
Yes.
why is it tricuspid valve again?
Below the baseline is tricuspid or aortic, but if it was aortic, the flow up here would be higher because it's a high pressure thing. So this is tricuspid, this is pulmonic. For your pulmonic valve, I'm sorry, I lied. Your regurgitation for your mitral valve and your tricuspid valve are below the baseline. Your regurgitation for your aortic valve and your pulmonic valve are above the baseline, but this is not aortic. The aortic regurgitation would be much higher than this. Like this would be taller. This waveform, because it's a high pressure system. So this is pulmonic and this is tricuspid.
Okay.
Okay, I got you now.
I know, like I said, it's a lot of little nuances, but the longer you scan, like when I look at this now, I'm like, oh, so elementary. But really though, you're gonna feel that way after you, like when you start working, I wanna say work for a year and then grab this book again, you'll be like, wow, why didn't I get that before? Literally. All right, so your mitral valve, this is in short axis. This is your anterior mitral valve leaflet, your posterior mitral valve leaflet. So, Hannah,
Yes.
question for you.
Okay.
Is this diastole or systole?
It looks open, so I'm gonna say diastole.
Why?
Because the valves are open.
Yes, perfect. Mitral valve and tricuspid valve only open in diastole, never in systole. Eugene?
Yes.
Is this diastole or systole?
Diastole.
No. Why is it not diastole?
I don't know.
Okay. So what you're seeing here, anytime you see turbulent flow, it's regurgitation. So the mitral valve is open here, and the only time you can have regurgitation is when the valve is closed. Now, Eugene, I asked you this question because these are the types of questions they'll ask you in a registry to know if you, they're not going to say, hey, this is diastole, look at me. They'll give you regurgitation and say, tell me which part of the cardiac cycle this is. And so not only
regurgitation only occur during systole, right? That's what you said.
no, depending on the valve. Because if you were in systole, the aortic valve and the pulmonic valve are supposed to be open. So you wouldn't get aortic and pulmonic insufficiency in systole. They would have to happen in diastole. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Remember, it can only happen when the valves are closed, but that depends on the cardiac cycle and the type of valve that's supposed to be open or closed.
Okay.
So once again, what is this turbulent flow right here?
That's the mitral valve regurgitation.
Yes. Thank you. All right. The last thing you need to know, I know Irina stressed these, the walls. Now it's important. It wasn't like until now. So the cheapest way I remember this, late in September. And I literally have an auntie who's always late everywhere, but I only see her in September. Whatever acronym you need to come up with. This is the anterior, the lateral, the inferior, and the septal. So now, let me cheat for you again. This will be anterior lateral, right? Lateral, inferior septal, septal, and anterior septal. See how that worked out? Yes?
Can I see that one more time, please?
This is always going to be your anterior wall up here. This is your lateral wall, your inferior wall, and your septal wall. Follow?
Yes.
So I say late in September. Even now I have to remind myself, like let's say part of the wall is working. If this wall is like dead completely, it means the lateral wall isn't working. If this wall is dead completely, it means the anterior wall is not working. If this wall is dead completely, it means the septal wall is not working. So you need to know them. See, posterior medial, anterior lateral, mid anterior septal, mid anterior, the whole 9 yards. You need to know all that. But what I'm saying is, I need you to notice the big things. Oh, let me go back. I need you to notice this. Do you see how it's anterior, inferior, lateral, and septal? Look at these words right here. That's what's going to be important for you to become good at this. You know what? The mid comes from when you are on the probe. This is the middle wall. You're not at the apex anymore. we were at the base before. Like when we were talking about the aorta and stuff, we were at the base. So instead of mid, that would have changed to base. See what I'm saying? Like, for example, this is the apical, this is the mid. So you would say apical anterior wall. Remember I told you anti late in September, right? Are we following?
Yes.
Okay, so apical anterior wall will be right here. So anti stands for anterior, late is for lateral, in stands for inferior. You know, September is the septal wall. That's how I remember it. Are we good now? So because this is the apex, I don't like this picture because I don't agree it's the apex because you can still see the papillary muscles. This is the picture from your book. I don't like it. The apex, you're
So,
not
Mr.
supposed to
Ming,
see. Uh-huh.
you were just about to answer my question. Sorry.
This is mid. When you see papillary muscles, you're about to head into the mitral valve territory. This is not a true apex. I don't like it at all. But it's what's in your book. I disagree with it 100%. Because when you look at even the diagram, do you see papillary muscles in the diagram? And she gave this diagram. Look at them right here. So how can this be apex, but this be mid? So I don't agree with this picture, but I put it so it'll be like a follow along. Pretend these papillary muscles are not there, okay? So apical anterior, apical lateral, apical inferior, and apical septal. So now you get to the mid, right? Anytime this just tells you where you are. Now, 3, anterior septal, because remember this wall is the septal wall. Anterior lateral, remember this is the lateral wall, right? So I want you guys to start linking these keys together so you can remember this no matter what. Again, for me, anti late in September. Okay, so this is just like an echo thing so you can see what the color and regurgitation looks like from every view. This is plaques, parasternal long axis. We zoom in, turn on color. Notice the person had trace mitral regurgitation. If they had aortic insufficiency, you would see it here. Once they turn on the color floor, mitral regurg, you will see it here as well. You always want to zoom, turn color on. This is the ascending aorta. Always remember, if you can't see, move up one rib space. I get this right when I start my exam usually. RVOT, your pulmonic valve. RVIT. Remember, this is the right atrium, right ventricle. This person definitely has tricuspid regurgitation. I would say moderate. We've been talking about this view all day. Look at that left atrial appendage right there. They have some TR, mild to moderate, and I want to say they had pulmonic insufficiency, but maybe it was because of right there. And you don't just want to see that and say there's a shunt, because there may not be. Mitral valve level. Papillary muscles. This is also showing you the left ventricle. Your apical four-chamber, by the way, this is not oriented properly. You'd want it to be slanted a little more the other way, but maybe this was the best view they could get for that person. Definitely moderate tricuspid regurgitation. No aortic insufficiency and trace mitral valve regurgitation. That's a very prominent left atrial appendage right there. Trace mitral regurgitation again. Apical three-chamber, apical long. That mitral regurgitation again. Subcostal, this is one of the last views you get. By the way, the same view where you get that IVC is where you're going to get this, except the probe will be turned towards 3 o'clock instead of noon. Any type of regurgitation they had with the tricuspid, you should be able to see it. That's the IVC. Notice when the person breathes in, it closes. That's what I was talking about earlier. But you're not going to ask them to breathe normally. Take a sharp sniff in. Suprasternal notch. All right. That's it for that video.